Good evening, viewers. You are welcome once again to our program, Democracy Watch, on NTA Ijebu, your heritage station. Today again, we are having a very wonderful guest in our studio who will be talking to us on the various programs of a particular candidate in Ogun State. Our guest today is a beautiful politician. He is one-time former deputy speaker of Ogun State House of Assembly, and now he is also the spokesperson for Prince Dapo Abiodun, the governorship candidate of the ruling party in Ogun State, the All Progressive Congress. Welcome with me, Honorable Remmy Hazzan, to Democracy Watch today. Honorable, you are welcome, sir.
It's my pleasure being here.
How has it been so far?
Well, we thank God that there is still life, and when there is life, there is hope. The good people of Ogun State, particularly those in Ijebu land, good evening. It's nice to be here to talk to us and for us to exchange ideas.
There's no how we can talk about APC in Ogun State and will not mention the other party that came out from APC. We saw what happened in 2011 to the other political party. We saw what happened also in 2015. Are you not a bit skeptical that with this a kind of division or a crack in the house, this can cause a kind of setback to the party?
I need you to understand something, and that is the fact that back in 2011, some characters stayed back in PDP, even though their body, soul, and spirit were in PPN. And they did a lot of damage to whatever it was that PDP had in mind. And both the PDP itself and the PPN that came out of it were not anywhere near victory at that time. In 2015, you will see that it's more like what we have today, because everyone who stayed back in APC was in APC flesh and blood, and those who went into the SDP were also there flesh and blood. It turned out that majority stayed back in APC, and APC won. Now, deadline 2019, you will now see that characters in APC who are aggrieved as to what the result of the selection process in 2018 was, have almost all moved. We have even been able to usher in willing opposition members from other parties coming into the APC. So whatever gap or vacancy or vacuum left behind has not just been filled. People are even struggling to find space to either stand or sit. So for us, the crisis that greeted the selection process has left APC. So in APC today, there is peace. And everybody has come to agree with whatever it is that is on ground. Let me give you a very good example of why people's mind is made up on this process. When the Independent National Electoral Commission released the list of candidates a few days back, there were some bit of omissions, additions, subtraction that were not even, I don't want to go into details so that we don't get to offend any of our party loyalists. Those who thought they were candidates turned out not to be candidates because of whatever administrative errors or blunders were committed at whatever level. You won't believe it that those whose name didn't come out, who have been campaigning, still said the party wins, not them. That is to tell you the kind of mindset that is in this process. So initially it was a setback, but from it we have gotten a major comeback that is even better than what we used to be before the setback itself came in.
Now let's talk about Prince Dapo Abiodun. Talking about this being favored by the section of the Ogun East section. Um, People are campaigning, particularly the current administration is campaigning that the power should shift to Yewa side so that somebody from that region can also become the governor after about 43 years of existence of Ogun State, that nobody has ever come out from that side. Now that Ogun East is getting the ticket, and we also have some other candidates coming from this zone, does it not mean that their claim of being marginalized is true, or what happened? What played out there?
I have mentioned this in various fora before now. The reason why this didn't go to Ogun West is more to do with improper management of the succession process. It happened in 2011. It was not properly handled, and it resulted in bickering within the party, which led to different splinter groups coming up. And at the end of the day, the two feuding factions never wanted to see each other eye to eye. And like a typical rugby game, someone from behind just came, picked the ball, and ran to the goal post. And victory was declared. That was how Amosun got it.
Yes.
I thought Governor Amosun, being a beneficiary of the improper management of 2011, would have done a better job this time around to properly manage this succession. And what do I mean by proper management? He has shown concern that the Ogun West people should get it. When you have that kind of interest in a particular group, it means that you are ready to negotiate. And when you want to go to the table of negotiation, you don't go because you want to get 100%. You go because you want to shift ground so that other people can be on the same page with you. Unfortunately, we witnessed a process where almost everybody that will occupy all the 40 elective offices were being single-handedly, picked by one person, and you should expect a fight back. When the fight back came, it went beyond what the state organ of the party could handle, and it went up. And at the level of the national working committee of the party, of course, the thing that ought to have been done at our level was what was now decided as the option, which was to share everything for stakeholders within the party. It turned out that whatever sharing formula was adopted were not acceptable to the governor and his followers. I think that that inability to properly manage the negotiation for the emergence of an Ogun West governor by the incumbent governor is what's the reason for the likely non-emergence of an Ogun West governor this time around will play out again. I hope we're all learning lessons from this. Yes. What will have happened if the governor, for example, says, give me the governorship because I want an Ogun West man, share the remaining 39 elective offices in a way that will be equitable to everybody? Who will have gone to Abuja to complain that their interests have not been taken care of? Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and this is where we have found ourselves. But of course, those of us in the party today have moved beyond that level. We can only hope that in the next dispensation, we'll begin now to think of a better strategy to help our people in Ogun West realize their dream of governing this great state.
I've listened to some of the campaign programs of Prince Dapo Abiodun, and if you look at what is happening now, people believe that a section of the state is being favored by by the ruling party, so to say, in terms of development and things like that. Now, which of these programs is paramount to Prince Dapo Abiodun if elected as the governor of Ogun State?
Thank you very much, Yemi. I love to talk about his programs based on what he wants to anchor his programs on. And they are on three legs, which means he's standing on a tripod. Uh, Whatever he wants to do in any sector, in the health sector, in the education sector, in the agri sector, in the industrial development sector, name it, any sector at all, is anchoring it on three major drive. One is employment generation. Anything he wants to do at all must ensure that the initiative that brings up employment opportunities for our teeming youth is in that program. Economic development is also there, and of course, good governance. Now, let's look at things that are germane. I've heard people say the present administration moved our IGR from 700 million averagely under the last administration to over 5 billion in the present administration. There was no magic. And I'll tell you what exactly happened. Previous administrations have been giving tax holidays to a lot of public servants. Tax holidays, tax incentives, and tax reliefs. So much so that helped to put a lot of money in the pocket of public servants, civil servants within the state. That itself is not the reflection of the Income Tax Act, because all the deductions that were meant to have been legally made, some of them were deliberately not made so that more money can be in the pocket of people. And this government came and ensured that all those laws were fully implemented, which means less money in the pocket of people and more tax. That alone brought in over 3 billion naira tax into the system. So it is actually the people who are the major contributors of the IGR that we have today. But of course, that's so legally permissive and allowed. Now, what are the other initiatives that should drive our IGR? We are in a position to do better than Lagos. If Lagos is doing 30 billion today, Lagos does not have the mass land that we have. Lagos does not have a lot of natural habitats that we have. Lagos does not have a lot of natural advantage that we have. So how are we going to translate those potentials into actual, visible income for the state? Those are part of the initiatives of the incoming government of Prince Dapo, Abiodun. There are some free trade zones that we have in the state which were put in place, and they cut across the 3 senatorial districts. The most prominent among them is the Olokola Free Trade Zone, which in its existing state, the only thing it needs to catalyze into an economic hub is access road. From J4 to Olokola Free Trade Zone is less than 40 kilometers. We have done about 300 kilometers of road that are not particularly urgent, but they are also not unimportant. In other words, that when 2 things are important, you will now put in your acumen or prioritization to tell which one is urgent. If we open up Olokola with road construction, we will have gotten more money that will build more roads. Because like I told someone, as an estate surveyor and valuer with understanding on land administration and the potentials of that place, if we open up that site on land allocation alone for the next 5 years, we're going to be getting 100 billion naira per annum. on land allocation alone, we will have succeeded in effectively decongesting Apapa, and the headache of the traffic in that place will be a thing of the past, because a lot of the tank farms that are there because that's the only place where you have a port. In Olukola, you have a naturally deep sea that can sail any vessel. You don't need dredging. It is so naturally deep. Some kind of vessels cannot even come to Apapa because the way they are, if they try to sail into Apapa, they will run aground because of their sheer size. So when such vessels come into our territorial waters, what we do is that we send smaller vessels to transload some of the things that they are carrying to our own port. That is a very good place to ensure that our economy in the state opens up because of the potentials of that place and the nearness to the Agbami oil field, where Dangote is expected to draw all of his crude to service his refinery. He chose to site the refinery in Olokola, waited for us to put road. We never did. He took his refinery to Lekki. And today, that refinery alone can do nothing less than $15-20 million monthly in terms of tax to Lagos state government. That should have been for Ogun State. We lost it. Now look at Kajola Free Trade Zone in Ogun Central. That is a railway hub. One of the strongest strengths of the economy of India is their railway network. Yes. And if in Kajola we have a terminus that brings in all the railway network in Nigeria into one place, another hub is there. Look at Igbesa, where most of the Chinese have even adopted as their own industrial hub in Nigeria, Igbesa Free Trade Zone. These three network of initiatives are meant to leapfrog Ogun State from the 3, 4, 5 billion that we are struggling to do a month to even 50, 100 billion that other states will struggle to catch up. Why must we remain a state with potentials for so long when it is just for us to decide that this is the time that we must just get out of this logjam? So these are the private sector initiative that Prince Dapo Abiodun is bringing into governance. And because he is a success story himself in the private sector, we believe that it will not be difficult for him to translate such success from his background in the private sector to governance that he is coming into. And that much the people of Ogun State can look forward to, and even better.
So, with this now, some people believe that the debt profile of the state currently is even more than what's maybe the government declare. If elected, how will Prince Dapo Abiodun be able to, actualize all this dream of developing all these trade zones with what the debts that his government will be servicing?
Normally, debts are part of the development process. Credits are available for you to pick up, to do certain things. But then, if you misapply credit, that is when it becomes a burden in terms of the debts that is accumulated. I mentioned that some of the roads that we built with borrowed funds were unnecessary. Because if we don't direct those borrowed funds to axis where more money can come for us to even pay back what was borrowed, then we will have been seen to create a situation called debt insustainability. It then means that you are earning less than you are to repay as your obligation for the money that you are owing. Let me give you a very good example. The Agbara Industrial Estate is one of the biggest industrial estates in this country. It hosts many multinational companies, PZ, Unilever, name them, they're all there. Now, the entirety of the road network in Agbara has collapsed completely. Now, we have done a lot of beautiful roads here and there, bridges up and down. We have not built 1 kilometer of good road in Agbara. Those who are there are taxpayers. We are not encouraging them. Other companies wants to go in there. How are we giving them the leeway that is a good place for them to go into? If we do not feed the goose that lays the golden egg properly, even the goose will die and there will be no egg for us to eat at the end of the day. So I want to believe that whatever debt that is owed cannot be beyond what can be repaid ultimately. It's just for us to think a little more outside of the box on what to do. Of course, that will also include borrowing more money, but this time around, sending those monies on errand to bring in more money to pay both the old debts, new ones, and as well move forward in the development agenda. That essentially is the way to go.
Some people, like the artisans, the markets women association and men association and others like that, they want to know that if they give their votes to Prince Dapo Abiodun of APC, what will be the overall benefits of their decision to them in the next 4 years?
Thank you very much. So many things are involved and are packaged for the artisans, the market men and women, and the small and medium enterprises that are, of course, struggling to have their own stay and survival. Now, one of it is the initiative of the Okowo Dapo, which is, of course, part of the manifesto. What does that mean? These are non-interest yielding grants to all these market women and traders to ensure that they are able to take their business to the next level. But aside from that as well, the national program of the industrial bank in terms of assistance to small and medium enterprises, especially because it's going to be the same party at the center and at the state. The government of Prince Dapo Abiodun, when fully inaugurated, will ensure that there is synergy between Ogun State and the Bank of Industries to ensure that people with great ideas don't die with their ideas. Those ideas are able to come into fruition. And he mentioned one thing in the course of our discussion, and that is the fact that whatever development agenda the state has that will impact negatively on the business premises of people who are in business. Maybe we want to construct road and it's going to affect shops and business places. He said we should tell the people of Ogun State who are in business that until the government finds you another place to transact your business, such premises will never be pulled down. I will also forget to mention that INEC should do more to ensure that whatever needs to be put in place for a hitch-free election, free, fair, and credible, must be done. In Rivers State, for example, we got a judgment that seeks to imply that APC that was not on the ballot will now be on the ballot. So what if INEC has already printed ballot papers that doesn't include APC? They need to run back to the press. So all these logistics are important, but everybody must work together for the process to actually be a successful one. And we are hopeful that it will be.
Thank you very much, sir. It has been a nice time speaking with the spokesman of Prince Dapo Abiodun, the Ogun State governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress. And viewers, I think you have gained and learned more from what he has been able to tell us today. The choice is yours. Sir, I hope when next we invite you, you will oblige us and We also want to have the governorship candidates here on this seat so that they can talk to our people. We want to thank you for coming today, and we wish you success in all you do. Thank you. Viewers, we'll see you again tomorrow by the grace of God. Have a wonderful evening.